Hey guys, welcome back to Diesel Creek. We're back out here at one of my favorite places today, which is the Ritchie Brothers auction yard. Back here in the parts and inoperable aisle though, there's another light plant. Let's see if she starts up. I'm gonna doubt it. Pretty good bird's nest on top of the engine there, if you guys can see that. Nothing. Got a pile of Baldwin filters in here for it, so that's not a good sign. Oh, it's hard to tell what could be wrong with this thing. Howdy guys and gals, welcome back to Diesel Creek. If this is your first time joining us, my name's Matt. This is what is so often referred to in the construction industry, sometimes sarcastically, sometimes joyously, as a money tree. If you see these things start rolling up on a job site and it's about 4 or 5 o'clock, well, your day's about to get worse usually. So anyways, what this thing is a tow-behind generator essentially with a light tower that folds up and telescopes way up in the air. And you've probably seen these things on highway jobs or any road work sites that are working after dark. They throw an incredible amount of light and they're nice and quiet and they're easy to transport and they sip on fuel. So why do I need one of these? Well, I really don't need anything, you know how that goes. But I've been casually looking for one of these things for a little while to power my shop and other odds and ends out here and just throw some light on the situation out here at the farm until I get connected to grid electricity or a really nice solar setup. So anyway, I just picked this up from the Ritchie Brothers auction. I think it's been sitting for quite a while. It's an Amida, I guess is how you say that. It's made by Terex, AL4000, so it's got a 4,000 watt generator in it. It's got 4 nice big bright lights on it. And I bought it all said and done with taxes, fees, credit card fees, and all the other BS that comes with buying something at Ritchie Brothers anymore. 900 bucks out the door. I took a gamble on it because it was in the parts and inoperable aisle. I could not see this thing run or function. No indication if it does or doesn't. So I bought plenty of stuff out of that aisle before, gambled and won. Here's another gamble. So I just towed it down the road quite a few miles from the auction to the farm here with no trouble. That tire does seem like it's losing air. I filled it up before I left out there. I didn't notice that fender looks like it might be rubbing a bit, but you know, I'm not really going to be taking this thing out of the farm here, I don't think. So there it is. On this side we have our control panel and everything. This did come from an Iron Planet auction previous to the Ritchie Brothers auction, but they are the same company really. So yeah, we got a 30 amp outlet, we got one 110 outlet, breakers for all of our lights. Not sure what the deal is or what this means, but we have a pile of fuel filters down here. That's interesting. The Kubota engine that powers it even comes complete with its own bird's nest. Well, I think we've dislocated the birds. I think we can just get rid of that now. So these Kubotas are pretty rugged little engines. We got plenty of oil. The overflow has plenty of antifreeze in it. I'll have to check the radiator for sure to make sure it does as well. What's the fuel situation looking like here? Planes are driving me crazy today. We've got fuel. What's dripping off the stick looks pretty clean. Smells like diesel fuel. Heck, it almost looks like we got a full tank. Man, that makes this deal a little bit sweeter. We do, look at that, we got a full tank of fuel. That just made this deal a whole lot sweeter. These things hold quite a bit of fuel. I don't know the specs on this one. I'm guessing it'll hold 50 gallons at least. These things are designed to run extended periods of time, so they put pretty good sized tanks on them. So that's pretty exciting that there's that much fuel in there. Oh yeah, we got juice. Everything's looking good here. See what happens at these auctions, if something like this comes in and it doesn't have a battery in it, the Ritchie Brothers guys on site can't test it and make sure that it functions. So they just put it automatically into the parts and inoperable aisle, which a lot of times means that it's really bad. Like the crane truck, I bought that truck out of the parts and inoperable aisle and the engine was locked up in it. So of course I had to go through and freshen up the engine and get everything going to make the rest of the crane function. But there's a whole series on that and it all functions quite well now. So without a battery in it, they can't test it. They're not going to bother putting their own battery in it. They may have just said parts. So maybe we got really lucky here. So I actually just noticed something here. I had to clean it off. This hour meter doesn't have the slots available to go up to like 10,000 plus hours, but it does have a slot back here that I believe is supposed to indicate a rollover, and that says 1 in that little slot. So I think we might actually have 13,000 hours, which is a bit of a bummer, but still this thing is in pretty good shape for that kind of hours. And that really isn't unheard of on these things. I've heard of these things with 20,000 hours on them, so we shall see. Also, I forgot, I need to check our air filter before we go trying to jam a battery in this thing. Air filter looks good enough to continue. I don't see any mouse nests on it or anything. Certainly. I didn't hear anything clicking or smoking or catching on fire, so that's a good sign. Alright, now on our controls here, we got prime, off, run, start, and this is a preheat down here, so that's your glow plugs. I noticed this little thing up here says always prime the fuel system for 20 seconds before starting engine, so I guess we should do that. Let's see what happens when we go to prime. Oh! That's a good sign. We hear a little clickety-clackety fuel pump down here doing its thing. Nice. Well, that's priming. I guess I should remove the bird's nest. Oh man, they got that thing in there, huh? Go ahead and hit the start and see what happens. Oh, that is where our luck runs out. The good news, I don't know if it's good news or not, is I don't hear any kind of solenoids clicking or clacking, no relays, nothing's trying. So I think the problem is probably just in our key switch here, actually. Could be anything. I see an inline fuse here. What is that? What is that? Oh, that looks like a blown inline fuse and it's getting hot. So that's, might be for our fuel pump though. I guess it wouldn't be blown if it's getting hot. Oh, it's definitely melted and stuff, so that's out. So I'm pretty sure on these starters, I think this is your 12 volt input wire, which activates the solenoid. So if we jump 12 volts into that, I believe this thing should go. Uh-huh. Beautiful. It does turn over. That's a good sign. I'm pretty certain that activating the starter also activates the fuel shutoff solenoid here, although I'm not positive. So worst come to worst, the default position, if you remove this, is open on the pump here. So if this thing doesn't work or we need to, we can just take that off temporarily, and that will allow the injectors to push fuel. Okay, so first actual attempt at starting this thing. The key is in the run position. All the fluids are good. I think we're ready to go. Contact! You know what? I took that junk fuse out of our little fuel pump. We need to put something back in there. I just threw a little piece of wire in there to bypass that fuse for right now. I got the fuel pump running. I think she's gonna go. Contact! Woo! I always get lots of comments about how excited I am when something starts, and let me tell you, even when it's a teeny little Kubota engine in a light plant, I'm just as excited as when it's a big bulldozer or something like that. So the problem I'm having right now, the reason it shut down was because I switched this over to run. Now, the reason I did that was because I don't know what's going on in the switching in here, and that alternator is wanting to charge. Well, if it's back feeding power into this box and this thing is only in the prime position, it might screw up something in here. I'm not an electrician, I don't know. I've always been told, like on engines that shut down with like a lever and then you shut the key off, you never shut the key off first. You always shut down the engine first. Once the engine's stopped, then you kill the key. That's what I was always taught, so I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the problem I'm having, you can hear the fuel pump clicking and clacking right now. But if I go over here to the run position, it kills the power to the fuel pump. So, yeah. That's a problem. So it looks like we just have an issue with the key switch, and I have yet to determine if there's any issues with our generator, of course. We need to get this thing running a little more reliable first. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see what's behind door number 1. Answer your guesses now. Ooh. Mostly factory wired things. That's great, actually, because I really get scared a lot of times opening stuff like this up, because there's a lot of wiring going on in here, and if somebody gets in here and starts jacking up the electrical harness, it can be awful hard to figure out how things are supposed to go. Luckily, we do not have that problem here, although they don't give you much slack to work with. Ugh. So it seems to me that our problems are all right here in this key switch. We should be able to just replace that with any old key switch, I'd imagine. Alright, so I'm not much for wiring, like I said, but I have learned the basics enough finally that I can tell you a switch is pretty easy to test. So they're labeled. Right here you've got ignition, battery, accessory, and the center lug I'm going to guess is the ground. Alright, so take your meter, put it on the continuity thing. Now when you touch your things together, I don't know if you guys can hear it, makes that little bleep there. So to figure out what's grounded, it's ideal to touch the actual ground, but this, oh, they got everything grounded through this box, so that's a good ground. Touch that. That's not ground. There we go. The accessory is grounded for whatever reason. Interesting. So that could theoretically be a problem right there. So like I said, you have battery here, ignition here, accessory here, and I haven't figured out this terminal yet. But, so battery is your power in, accessory should be our fuel pump. So if we turn that to the accessory position in the switch, now we should have continuity between the battery and the accessory, and we do. And I know that function of the switch works because the fuel pump kicks on and you can hear it. So now we should have, in the run position, we should have power from the battery to the ignition. Huh, and we do. Interesting. We don't have anything coming from the center post though. Now this is the tricky one. It's hard to do by yourself. You got to try and hold both your leads if you don't have clip-on leads, and I don't, and twist the switch at the same time to put it into the start position. Interesting. So looky there, when I twist the switch we do get power coming down, so we have a problem between the switch and the starter. That's our only problem. So there's just some basic wiring between A and B, and we can see what color wire we're looking for. It's either going to be the yellow and the brown or the white, wherever we have our issues at. Oh, I'm sorry, it's either going to be the orange or the white. And I see that we have orange coming over here to the top of the engine. These wires are all pretty crusty. There's a white one. All right, well, I swear to God, I don't even know what I did, but now the switch works. Problem is, I still don't hear the fuel pump whenever we crank. Still not clattering. Yeah. Oh no, there we go. It kicks on, so it's got some sort of fancy relay somewhere. Maybe this relay right here that kicks the fuel pump on after it's running. Interesting. Maybe it uses alternator voltage to kick that thing on, I don't know. Let's try that again. I, for the life of me, don't know what fixed this. For the life of me, I have no idea what caused that to start working, but I'm glad it did. And we don't need to know the answer. Just put it back together. Truthfully, troubleshooting an intermittent problem is about the hardest problem there is, so we do just ignore problems like this until they arise again, and they may never arise again. I have stuff happen like that all the time. You never know. It could have just been a corroded connection or something I wiggled accidentally and took it off to the races. This thing looks, like I said, like it's been sitting quite a while. Let's test it again. That is awesome. Guys, it's hard to argue with that, huh? Alright, I'm not sure if you guys could see that. When I plugged the meter into the socket there, I was only getting like 89 or 90 volts. So I don't know exactly what that means for us. This is where you need to be a real electrician, because there's goofy stuff going on inside of that generator that I don't understand. Just for giggles though, let's go ahead and kick the breakers on for the lights and see what happens. They're working. These kind of lights, they take a while to heat up, and then they're bright, bright, bright. Look at that. Heck yeah. That's awesome. All 4 lights are going on. Let's crank this thing up. They're all working. I just don't know if they're as bright as they're supposed to be because that goofy voltage at that outlet. So here's where I have to phone a friend and talk to my electrician buddy and see what he says. But this thing, for 900 bucks, I think I got a deal here. That Kubota engine alone's worth, you know, 600 in that kind of condition. Heck, it goes up further than I thought it did. It was clear out of frame. Well, that thing's pretty awesome. I think we do have an issue with the generator though. There's something going on there where it's not putting out the right amount of voltage. I don't know if a winding's burn out of it or what, but somebody smarter than me is gonna have to figure that one out. Give you a workout cranking that thing up there. I think that's 35 feet. I think it goes up. Maybe it is 40. So I think we have a voltage regulator issue, and that might be the only thing wrong with this thing. Because I let it sit for a little bit, I ate my sandwich and cranked it back up and tested it again, and I was showing 138 volts on the 110 where I was only showing like 93 before. And after a little bit of time running, it dropped back down to like 93 or something. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm gonna talk to my electrician buddy and see what he says. But that thing's awful nice for 900 bucks, I think. And I'm gonna park that thing right on the other side of this Connex box and run my power feed out to it after we get the regulator issue straightened out. And that'll feed the panel on the other side of this wall, and I'll be able to run all my lights in the building here, and it won't be so darn loud like I'm running a regular generator. That's nice and quiet. I don't know how well it's gonna show up on the video, but it is not too shabby. Well guys, I guess there you have it. I think I made a decent purchase for the money, and I think it's going to come in pretty darn handy around here until I can get permanent electricity put in. Not to mention, just it's going to be handy for dragging around, having portable light. You know, in the process of building my entire life out here, I got another big shop I want to build over here. I got a house I want to build down there a little bit further, and I'm sure there's going to be barns and other outbuildings and all kind of stuff coming in the future. So having something like this around will definitely be more than handy. Anyways guys, you know the drill. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to stick around and see all these other projects I got going on in the background here. The old grader is going to be coming up real soon. We're going to be giving it a fresh paint job. So, oh, and don't forget, if you're looking for any Diesel Creek merchandise, you can check it out on the website dieselcreek.com. As always guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.